Thank you very much for stopping by. If you are seeing this, smash the like button. If you are new to my channel, hello, my name is Vivian Bernard and I am the content creator of Vivian Bernard Sewing Tutorial. In this video, you will be learning how to make this beautiful Queen Anne built-up neckline. If you want to see how I'm able to achieve this beautiful fitted outfit, watch till the end. So guys, for this tutorial, the pattern we'll be needing is our full scale bodice, okay? And I have a full detailed tutorial on how to draft a full scale bodice, okay? So you should go and check that tutorial out so you understand how we get there, okay? So I won't be drafting all over a full scale bodice for a tutorial that will be needing a full scale bodice, because I already have that tutorial on my channel, okay? So starting it all over again will bore my active viewers. So you should go and check that tutorial out. I will be putting the link down on the description box below so you can check it out, okay? So in this full scale bodice, you can see that the under bust is contoured. This is a fitted top, that is why we contour the under bust. So if you watch my tutorial on how to draft a corset, how to draft an off shoulder top, you will easily learn how to contour your under bust there, because I explained it very well there, okay? And you can also see that I've already drawn our princess that. So when you watch this video, you will understand how we get there. It's very, very simple and explanatory. So I'll be putting down the link on the description box below so that you can go watch it and understand how we get here, okay? So you can see this is my back bodice and this is my front bodice, okay? So what we'll be doing now is to modify it into our built-up neckline. So we are going to start off with the back. So I'm going to join a paper from here because of the built-up neckline. We are going to extend the back neckline, okay? So I'm starting off by, joining a paper to this with my gum. So you can see this opening right here. I'm going to tape it down, okay? If you watch my tutorial on how to draft this full scale bodice, you will know why that opening is there. So I encourage you very well to go and watch that tutorial. It's for your own good, because I will be using this bodice for our subsequent tutorials, okay? Yeah, I'm just going to add up So I'm proceeding with back. So I'm going to go up by 2 inches for the back. So square it up. So as I square it up, I'm going to come down by ½ inch. Okay, from this point I will come down by 1/2 inch. Then I'll get my curve ruler and I'm going to connect it like so. So you can see this point. I'm going to blend this corner, okay? So there shouldn't be any form of sharp edges, okay? So that we can be able to sew this very well. So I'm basically going to blend this sharp edge, okay? So after that, I'm done with raising the back neckline, okay? So I'm going to move on to the front. So I came up by 2 inches here. So I'm going to extend the neck point like so, okay? So I'm starting off by extending the neck point. You can see what I'm doing very well. So I'm starting off by extending the neck point. So once I extend it, I'm going to mark 2 inches. Okay, this 2 inches is the same measurement I use in raising the back neckline. Okay, so I'm going to put in the 2 inches on this line. So once I put it, I'm going to measure the neck depth I'm using. So from this point, from my neckline, I'm going to measure the neck depth. So I'm marking 7 inches for my neck depth. Okay, so once I mark it, I'm going to square it up like so. So this will be a guide for me to be able to create my Queen Anne neckline, okay? So I'm just going to get the midpoint of this line. The midpoint is 3.5. So I'm just going to place my curve on this point and on this point. I'm going to place my curve like this, okay? Then I'll connect it. So once I connect it, I'll measure from this point to this point. I'll measure 1 inch. Okay, that is how much I want it to extend. Then I'll get my pattern master and I'll connect it from this point to this point. So you can see this sharp edge. We don't want it at all. So I'm going to use my curve ruler to blend that curve. So I'll use my curve ruler or my free hand to blend the curve. Okay. So once we blend this curve, I'm going to get my eraser and erase this out. Okay. So this is just like a guide that helps me in creating this sweetheart, this Queen Anne neckline. Sorry, not sweetheart neckline. All right, so we are done creating our Queen Anne neckline. So another thing you will make sure is that you measure whatever you have from this point to this point. You are going to make sure it rhymes to whatever you have at the back from this point to this point, okay? Even if there is any difference, it should not be more than 0.25, okay? So let me measure it. So I have 6.625 here. That is 658. So I'm going to measure whatever I have from this point to this point. So yeah, it should rhyme, okay? It should rhyme. Even if there is any difference, the difference shouldn't be more than 0.25, okay? So guys, it's rhymes, okay? So both of them rhyme, okay? So another thing is that I will go to the hemline and I will mark how I want the hemline to be. So I'm coming up by 4 inches. Here I'm coming up by 2 inches, okay? Then I'll connect it just like the same way the hemline of my turtleneck top is. That's just same thing I'm doing here. So if you watch that tutorial, you will understand what I'm doing better, okay? So I just want the hemline to be quite curvy. So now after that, the next is to, okay, for the back is going to be 2-piece. So I wouldn't want a shoulder dart for the back. I will want it to have a princess dart, okay? So I'm just going to go up from the middle point of the armhole. I will go up by 1 inch. Then I will get my curve ruler and connect it to the dart point like so, okay? So because I don't want any joining at the shoulder, because I'll be using a facing for this, that is why I'm doing a princess dart for the back. So if there's any pointy area here, you should just blend it up, okay? So here is assumed to be closed up, okay? So I already drew my princess dart at the front. Like I told you, I have many tutorials how I explained on how to draw this princess dart. It's very simple. Just get the midpoint of your armhole and, you know, put your curve ruler and connect it to the bust point. As simple as that, okay? You'll be conversant with this if you are my active viewer, because I make sure to understand each step, okay? Yeah. So the next thing we are going to do is to trace it out. Here we have 1 and we have 2. So we have 2 patterns that we're going to trace out for the front, and for the back we also have 1 and 2 patterns that we are going to trace out for the back, okay? So what I'm going to do is to get a fresh paper, okay? So like if you are my active viewer, you know that I like tracing out. I don't like cutting my patterns directly. I like tracing out so that I can keep my pattern for other tutorials, okay? Yeah. So I will get my fresh paper. Then for me to trace number 1, which is the center front, I'm going to put a fresh paper and I'm going to trace all the way from here. I'll follow here my contour darts, and I'll follow my princess darts, follow my armhole all the way to the neckline, to my queen and neckline, okay? So once I trace this out, I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance at the inseam, okay? 1/2 inch seam allowance at the hemline, 1/2 inch seam allowance at the armhole, 1/2 inch seam allowance, you know, all round. Here will be on fold, okay? Here will be on fold, so I'm not adding 1/2 inch here. Then for number 2, I'm going to make sure to close this bust dart, okay? So by the time I've traced here, okay, I'm going to remove this tape here so that I can close this bust dart. So you understand that the reason why this opening here, this opening is here, is for us to be able to close our bust dart, okay? So that is why I encourage you to watch that video on how to draft a full scale bodice with bust dart, shoulder dart, okay? Yeah. So for me to trace number 2, I'm going to start from here all the way. I'll follow my contour dart, okay? That will trace all the way, okay? But I must have closed my bust dart before tracing, okay? I should close my bust dart before tracing, okay? Yeah. And after tracing, I've already added 1 inch at the side seam. Then I'm just going to add 1/2 inch at the armhole, at the princess dart, at this inseam, so that I can be able to use it to join it back, okay? I hope you understand. Yeah. And for the back, is 2 pieces, so I'm going to start off by tracing all the way, yeah. So when tracing, I'll map out 1 inch for the zipper allowance that will be for the back. Okay, so when I put a fresh paper on there, I'll make sure to map out 1 inch. Okay, so I won't be showing this process so that our video won't be too long. Yeah, that is why I'm just explaining this. But if you are my active viewer, you understand all this because I used to explain it very well on each tutorial I make. Okay, so for number 2, you are going to start off from here, stop here, and you're going to, so you're just going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance at the inseam and at the armhole, and at the hemline here you don't have to add because you've already added while drafting your pattern, unless you don't add while drafting. Okay, so I'll go ahead and trace this and I'll show you guys the outcome. Okay, so guys, I decided to show you guys how to trace this out for more clarification. So what I did was to put a fresh paper under and I'm tracing just the way I showed you guys. Okay, I'm tracing those areas I show you guys. This is the center front. So once I trace it, I'm going to remove it, then I'll use my pencil to retrace it. So as I'm retracing it, I am adding my 1/2 inch seam allowance at those areas I showed you guys. Okay, so this is very simple. This is a professional process. Okay, instead of cutting out my pattern and adding seam allowance on my clothes, I prefer doing it on paper so that I can just easily place it on my fabric and cut out. Okay, so I think this method is more professional and it's the best for me. So I'm just doing what I actually showed you guys what we are going to do. So you can see that this is the center front, and I'm going to cut this out with my scissors. Okay, so as it is now, I've traced the center front, and while cutting, I'm just going to place it on my fabric and cut out. Very simple. So guys, to trace the side front, you see that opening that I used my paper tape to close. I'm going to open it. Okay, I'm opening it because I've traced the center front. Okay, so opening it will enable me to close the side bust. Okay, it's very important you close the side bust while tracing the side front. Okay, so that the side seam can rhyme with the side seam of the back. Okay, so that's basically it. So once I trace it, I'm going to retrace it just like I did for the center front. Okay, I will add 1/2 inch seam allowance in those areas I showed you guys, and that is basically it. So for the back, I got a fresh paper which I've already mapped out the 1 inch zipper allowance. So you can see I'm placing the center back right after the 1 inch zipper allowance. Okay, so once I place it, I'm going to trace the center back like I showed you guys. Okay, so after tracing it, I'm going to remove the paper and retrace it on my paper and add 1/2 inch seam allowance where necessary. Okay, so I'm just retracing it with my pencil and I'm adding 1/2 inch seam allowance right after tracing it. Okay, so this process is really nice. Like I told you guys, it's a professional process. Okay, so instead of drafting and cutting out your pattern and then adding 1/2 inch on your material while cutting, it's better you do it this way. I feel that method is even more stressful, but if you can adopt this method, it will be very, very nice. Okay, Yeah, that's it. So after tracing the back, I'm going to get my paper scissors and I will cut it out. So for the side back, I'm going to put a fresh paper under. So you can see I'm just opening up the side front border that I close so that I can be comfortable while tracing the side back. So you can see I'm tracing the side back and that's it. So after tracing it, I will remove it and retrace it just like I did to others. This is the pattern after tracing it out. This is the back and this is the front. So I'm going to proceed to cut out the material. So I'll use it to cut out the material. So this will be on fold. It will be one piece, and this should be two piece, this should be two piece, and this should be two piece. Okay, so then after that I'm going to cut out a facing. So the facing should stop somewhere here. Okay, so this is where the facing is going to stop, at least. So for the back, the facing is just going to stop 2 inches from the shoulder line. Okay, then for the front, and so for the front I'm just going to measure 2.5. okay, from this point 2.5, then I'm just going to map it out like so. So I don't want the facing to interfere on the joining. Okay, so that is how I'm going to cut out the facing for the front. So the idea is just to use it to finish up the neckline and also the shoulder line. So this is how the facing for the front is going to be for me. Yeah, or I can even, bring it down a little bit. Yeah, so I'll maintain the same point here, then I'll just bring it down. So for the front, this is how my facing is. So after using this pattern to cut out my material, I might get my scissors and cut this out and use it to cut my facing, or I might be able to manipulate it, fold it up to that length so I can use it for my facing. So either way is okay, or if I still want, I can put a paper under and just trace out exactly what is there. Either way is okay. So I'm just going to find my way. You should be able to find your way too. the thing is that I've explained what you have to know about it. So guys, I've used the pattern to cut out the material. This is the front and this is also what I cut out for the back. So this is the pattern. You can see the line I drew there for the facing. I will use my scissors to cut it out so that I can use it to cut my facing. Okay, so I will do the same thing for the back. So that is what I'm going to use to cut the facing. So I've cut out the facing and this is it. So I'm going to place the facing of the front right side facing each other. Okay, so I'm going to place it that way. I'll also do the same thing for the back. It's going to be facing right side. Okay, so this is the side front and this is the back. So I'm going to place the facing right side facing each other. So this is the way I'm going to place it. So you can see what I cut out. I'm just going to use my paper tape to secure it back. So what you are seeing now is a collar stay, okay? You can see the shiny part. That is where you are going to place on your fabric. So you are going to use your facing to cut out this collar stay. You are cutting out 2 pieces for the front so that you can gum it on the facing and also on the main bodies, okay? Just like I did, and you are going to do the same thing for the back. So you can see those places. You are going to go to your sewing machine and sew it down. After sewing it down, you can see how it looks like. So you are going to join the side front to the center front like so. Then also the back, you can see how I sewed it just at the top, okay? So this is how you are going to sew your own facing. So go ahead and join the side back. So after joining it, this is what it looks like. So we are going to join it at the shoulder in a neat way, okay? So just secure the neck point, okay? And make sure both neck points rhyme. And you are going to open it up like that. Okay? So secure the neck points of both the front and back bodies, okay? Secure it and open it up like that, and you are going to pin it down so that you can go to your sewing machine and sew it that way. So that way you have a neat finishing on the shoulder. So you are going to sew it that way. You are doing the same thing on the other side. Just secure both neck points and you open it up and make sure both points matches up. Then you are going to go to your sewing machine and sew it down. So after sewing it, this is what it looks like, okay? So you can see what we achieved. You are just going to pin that point down, okay? So it can stay. So you are doing the same thing on the other side. Just pin it down so it can relax, okay? So after that, I'm just arranging it to make sure that we achieve the objective, okay? So you are going to go ahead and join it at the side by the seam allowance you added. So after joining it, this is how it looks like, okay? So the next thing we are going to do is to open up the facing at the back and the main bodies just like you are seeing. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and sew it down from the facing down to the main back bodies, okay? So you are making sure that both points rhymes, okay? So you can see the way I open this up and pin it. Just go ahead and do the same thing. So you are going to sew it down and stop at least 2 inches 2 inches before your main neckline, okay? So after sewing it, this is what I have. So you are just going to turn it down, okay? You can see what we achieved by this process, okay? So that point I pinned, I'm just going to go to my sewing machine and hold it down. So you can see how the neckline is finished. So we stopped 2 inches below the neckline, and that is where the zip is going to start, okay? So we are going to fix our zip upside down. So this is how you are going to place your zip and fix it, okay? So I'll go ahead and fix this and I'll show you guys the outcome. So guys, this is the outcome of the beautiful tutorial. After fixing the zip, just use your bias stripe to finish up the armhole, okay? Alright guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you've not yet liked this video, please like it. If you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are confused on any parts, kindly drop your questions on the comment section. I will attend to that. Alright guys, see you in the next one.